now tuned in. The most talked about podcast in the country. DT, unfiltered and uncensored. Now here's your host, DT.
Yo, it's your boy DT from DT's Unfiltered Uncensored. I'm here, and it's been a long time since I did a show. It's been a couple months, so it's time for me to get back out there, and I've been looking for this show for the longest. This one of the topics I've been wanting to discuss for a very long time because, as most of y'all know, I have coached for 13 years, and from rec to GBL to AAU. I did middle school, I helped with high school, so I did it all. So today I got a special guest definitely coming on my show. I seen this guy for many years. I seen what he did with what he does with the kids, his training technique. I seen the events that he held, the camps and everything, and I always been very impressed. And I know how he speaks from the heart when he gives his feedback, and he don't bite his tongue. That's one thing I respect about him. And he honestly, he reminds me of myself a little bit because he says what everybody else is thinking but scared to say, and that's what I respect about him. And give you a little bit about him before we jump into it. He was born and raised in Forest City, North Carolina. He was with the AAU program, Forest City Heat. That's the AAU team you play for?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. He was all conference and all state in football and basketball his senior year. He was the Midwest 2A Conference Player of the Year for basketball his senior year. He was highly recruited in football and basketball. He went to play JUCO in Shreveport, Louisiana. And I'm gonna get this wrong again. Go ahead, tell me the name of the college. I know I'm gonna get it wrong.
Bossier Parish Community College.
He just told me I slept out like that. And you played seasonal in Palestine for professional basketball.
Yeah, in Palestine.
Okay, so I would like to welcome to my show Coach Tion Watkins. Is it Watkins?
Watkins, yes.
Watkins. Okay, welcome to the show, man. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Okay. No problem, man. Well, like I said, I appreciate you taking a moment out your day, to sit down with me to talk a little bit about, AAU, travel basketball. We're going to talk a little bit about a lot of expectations these players have. A lot of these players think they're better than what they really are. And the parents not making it any better. And that's one thing I was respecting because you'll post stuff on your Instagram. And when you post it, I share it in my story. And I'm like, I agree 100% because what you're saying is exactly what needs to be said and parents needs to hear. And so before we jump into the show, you want to give a little bit more information telling people about yourself a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a small country town, single parent household, just very poor, come from a struggle. And I sort of, once I discovered basketball, once I started playing, I realized this is what's going to get me out. Like, this is going to be my meal ticket out of here. Once I realized what the game could do for us, going off to college, for us providing. And I just always dreamed big. And I was like, you know what, this is what's going to take care of my family. And, I discovered that early on at a little boy, but I also understood the type of work that it was going to take to put in, what it was going to take to sacrifice, and, basically just staying grounded and staying hungry. But, just a small country town boy, 1 or 2 street lights, So to me, Atlanta is just a way bigger city than what I come from. So for me to be able to make an impact here, it's a highlight, especially for us back home.
Right. And also, I want to forget that you are the founder and owner of Beyond Basketball Academy. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, yeah. Okay, cool. All right, man. So I appreciate you, like I said, taking your time. I know you got a busy schedule. I know you had a whole bunch of training this past weekend because I see you always stay busy. I don't see how you do it. You do everything, man. And you're a father too, which I commend you on being a great influence to the youth and as well as being a great father.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we're gonna jump into our first topic: understanding AAU basketball. And I think a lot of people don't understand it. They look at rec and they think rec is the same as AAU and like, oh, let's just go have fun and play it.
Yeah.
And I always run into, you probably have run into these kids that think they're ready for AAU. Then when they get out there, they realize there's a whole different ballpark,
Yeah.
especially what tournament you playing in. So, talk about. I want you to tell me about the points. What you think the points of AAU basketball, and about the kids who think they playing rec, think they dominated rec, they could come over to AAU and just think they go do the same thing there.
I think I think for if we go back to how AAU basketball was, it was just like you're separating rec kids. Just it's a big separation. And you're gonna put the best players in that county, that region, within that town, whatever, you're gonna base your team off the top kids there. And once you separate the pack, I think kids understood and knew like I'm not good enough to play AAU. There was a time that coaches would tell you and be transparent, your kid's not good enough, they're not ready for that. AAU is a high level style of basketball. And I think in today's, it's like it got to a point where, yeah, it is parents are way more invested, but also too, anybody can just make a team. I think if you go back years back when it was originated, everybody couldn't just throw a team up. You'll get laughed at. You'll get clowned for just throwing something out there, not a good product, or putting kids out there that's not ready. I think coaches and I think it starts with adult. You got bad because we weren't holding each other accountable. Like I felt like us as coaches, like, look, man, them kids not ready. Boom, cut it out. But everybody just started letting it in, and because I always said, even before I got in there, I'm like, if your team getting beat by 40 every weekend, what purpose does it serve even having a team? You
Right.
know, and I feel like it should get, in order to clean it up, I just feel like there's certain type of accountability should take place. If your team lose 5 or 6 games by 40 within that year, like I feel like your program should be like, wipe it. Y'all not qualified. Y'all not ready to be a part of something like this, because kids are not even getting a chance to get out the block. And it's a lot of bad basketball out there. They're not playing the right way. I think I was talking to a parent earlier when I was talking about AAU basketball. It became more about winning and it's no structure in it no more. And when it became more about winning, you got kids that's reclassing, you got guys putting 7th graders against 5th graders. I mean, there's no accountability, and it has become so normal. It's just like, I see you at the finish line. And I just think the purity of the game for kids, they're going to miss out on the purity of what we come from. And that was just real honesty. And, I'm not saying everyone got to have credentials or anything for us that play the game of basketball. I mean, you want to give kids the proper knowledge in order to get them better. But what I feel like it's the character. It ain't even about basketball. It's just the character of a man. Are you going to be honest with parents? It's okay to tell a parent, your kid not ready yet, or this, you need to do this in order to get them ready, or bring them back a year, or start them here. And that's fine. I think people want instant results. People don't want to go through the real process. And I think a lot of kids honestly get cheated out of their future.
And I'm gonna agree with you on that. And I had to face a hard reality, and I could give this quick story. Back when I first started coaching AAU, my second year I wanted to start with a young team, so I started with a 7th grade team. And the bad thing about it is I chose a lot of my 7th grade players from rec because they was killing in the rec. So I was
Yeah.
okay. Let me bring them over. I said, oh, they dominate. I said, well, okay, we're gonna have a good team. So I got like the top kids that were playing red basketball. I brought them to AAU. This is my second year because my first year I did high school and I was still doing good because a lot of the high school kids I had, they were playing high school basketball. So they knew about the game. But so I went to grab rec kids starting at 7th grade. Tion, tell me why we was getting whooped like 20, 30 points. It was like it was so bad. One game I had a full team. The other team had 4 players, and they were beating us by like 25-2. And then the last player came in at the last moment, and it was so embarrassing. And the parents were like blaming me, and I'm like, it's not me, but I thought your kid was this good, but I guess your kid was this good for rec basketball. They weren't good for AAU. And that when it gave me a harsh reality said, nah, just because you dominated over rec don't mean you go dominate in AAU. And that's when I had to switch it up. And we had to start playing some of those dumbed down tournaments that wasn't really catered to the advanced kids. It more catered to the more rec kind of kids so they could get that time. And at that stage, like that team after that year, I didn't bring that team back.
Yeah. Nah, it happens. It happens. I mean, teams are going to get, I'm not going to say I haven't been beat by 30 before. It can happen. And it happens. It doesn't, sometimes it ain't even that. It's not like the kids are not good enough. Kids have days too. Kids have moments too. Kids don't show up in the right mental space. All it takes is 2 kids, 2 main players to be having a rough day. You're going to get tore up because one thing I understand, what I had to learn as a coach, it's one thing when you play the game and you're in control. It's another thing when you're not in control and you're watching someone else play the game. So one thing I realized is there's only about 2 consistent scorers on your team. If one of them have a bad day, that game can get ugly. If both of them are having a good day, it betters your chances. But if one have a rough day, it's rare you're going to find a team where you're going to come in as a new program or a program been a while where you got three killers that can score and get a bucket. Normally you're going to have about 1 or 2 of those, and the rest are role players. But it's hard to find players. It's not hard to find players. It's hard to get parents to understand that their kid is good as a role player. This is what they're good at right now. Not saying they won't get to take more shots, but it's kids that can't score. It's kids that can't dribble that well, but it's kids that can hustle, rebound, and play defense. So let me coach you to the best of your ability till I can get you up to speed with certain areas. So I'm going to coach you to your strength. Parents don't understand that. They think you're supposed to let them get reps during the game. It's like, no, you're putting me in position to lose a game. And
Right.
we all know everybody wants to win. You can sit here and say it's about development all you want, but you want to win if you're a competitor.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, how do you feel AU programs benefit young athletes of today?
I mean, I guess it just depends on who's over the program, right? Who's over the program, and you gotta know why you're doing it. What's your purpose, right? Some guys do it for the wrong reasons. Some guys do it because that coach didn't want me to coach with him no more. I'm gonna start my own thing, and I'm gonna prove to him I can beat him. I can be just as better. And some get caught up in it. A lot of it is ego driven. If you can get your kids somewhere where that coach main focus and attention is to grow players, teach the game, and there's no ego behind it, your kids gonna get what they need out of it. But I feel like when we think about Atlanta, I think a lot of guys have been rejected from certain programs or been fired as coach, or kids left their team. So a lot of it is out of hurt or ego. And when you're operating out of ego, you will do anything. So a lot of them will compromise anything just to stay relevant.
Right. Yeah, I do see that, and I'm gonna be honest. And it's a lot of money driven ones too, because a lot of these AAU programs be charging an arm and a leg and don't be playing no big tournaments and pocketing a
Yeah.
lot of this money. And I have seen that, and I've seen it firsthand from a few, and I'm not gonna mention, but I have seen teams that do this. They'll pay their charge like $1,500 for a season. Then you look at the schedule, you're like, hold on, y'all not playing on the radar, y'all not playing in a hoop scene, y'all not traveling to none of these. Y'all playing in no disrespect, you playing in Georgia Tar Heels tournament and these small tournaments, and you paying $1,500, and parents are paying it. So
Yeah.
it crazy. So I like, okay. So I look at like your coaches making money off this, and he
Yeah.
pocketing this. All they care about.
And I tell you what I did, for example, our first year was last year. I charged 1,000, but I gave my program unlimited training on top of the games. Now I was very clear up front. We're not going to play in bigger tournaments. We're not quite ready yet, but we're going to play maybe like D2, not D1, little D2 level tournaments.
Right.
Great facilities, great atmosphere. But I included my training. So I wanted kids to get better. So I spent 4 months. I gave more than I got back, to be honest. Like, I had to, make it work, and I had to stand on my word. But that's something I offered as a trainer, just so I can let parents know I'm serious about your child getting development here.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the coaching perspective. We have a lot of coaches out here. We have good coaches. We have a lot of bad coaches. We have, like we said, coaches in it for the money. We have coaches that in it for their child. What's your take on the coaches you have seen over the course over the years that you've been around the AAU circuit?
I mean, if anyone's coaching their child, they're in it for their child. They won't. Like, no one's not going to take time out unless, especially with their child being involved, if their interest is not getting their child what they need first and foremost. And that's their reason of doing it. I done seen people with kids that can actually play, that were real good players. And, you got to respect that. And then I done seen kids that shouldn't be on the floor, shouldn't be playing AAU. And I feel like you got to be careful with coaches like that, because they're only going to be able to coach their team or their program to the level where their child is, because they want their child to catch up. They're trying to keep their child in the race. They want to get their child playing time. So your team is only going to go as far as where their child at, because they still want to cater to their child and where their child at. Now, if you got a kid that can play and his dad the coach, he going to raise the bar. He going to set the standard, because the time that he done put in with his son, the knowledge that he have poured into him, and those are the best coaches to have someone that's holding their son at a high level or a high standard. I don't believe in holding anyone kids back based off. That's why my boys don't play, because they don't show the commitment of love for it. And then I'm not going to get them involved in it, because the same way I stand on being honest and truthful, like, don't touch this if you're not ready for it yet.
Right.
But I think it's
go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's a give and take. The give and take is it is coaches out there who kids can't play, but they also get longer. They get a longer rope. They get to make more mistakes. They get to play longer and things like that. So there's going to be days where you feel like the fairness is not there, I think. But I feel like the best situation is someone being honest with you. Like, I ain't lying. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to tell you what it is. And if, I had parents, for example, in my program, felt like their kids should play more. And I'm like, all right, I'll give them an opportunity. I'm going to play them more so I can show you what I see versus what you see. So when you see them out there struggling, You got to answer to that. But just know, once you go cross that line with me and I give your child an opportunity, there might not be no coming back. So you got to be careful what you ask for, because I'm not one of those coaches I'm not going to sit here and deny your child. If I'm not playing your kid, trust me, coaches want to put guys on the floor that's going to contribute to helping them win. If I'm not putting your child on the floor, either it's not the game. The game might be fast. They don't respond quick. They might not be ready for the press break. It's certain situations, and some parents want to throw their kids right in the fire and experiment. Just because we losing don't mean your child supposed to play, because I done seen parents, for example, we might be down by 10 or 15. They feel like, well, take them out. You can sub someone else in. No, we still got a chance. I'm still going to depend on my best ones out here rather than experiment, and the league grows bigger. So it's different being a coach on the sideline. It is.
Right. And I could definitely attest for this because I coached my son basically his whole life. And honestly, when I first started coaching, it was red basketball. He's fifth grade. I'm not fifth grade, I'm sorry, 5 years old. And the first year really wasn't a good year. I was an assistant coach. Wasn't a big fan of how the coach did it. So I said, next year I'm going to come do it myself. So I decided to coach after that year. It took my son 3 years to actually start on my rec team because I said you had to earn your spot. And I'm being this funny story I would tell everybody. I had a parent, not from my team, from the opposing team, email the basketball director that I didn't play my son in the game. The coach, the director forwarded the email. He said, Coach D, you got to see this. I said, what? He said, I'm going to forward something to you. And he sent me the email, the parent complaining that I didn't play because in break, every kid supposed to play a minimum 2 quarters, something like that. Yeah. She emailed complaining that I didn't put my own son in the game. And I laughed. I said, first of all, he wasn't feeling well. He got in trouble, so he wasn't playing. And she complained about that. I said, how you going to complain I ain't put my son in the game? You're not even on my team. It's the opposing team. She wanted to play all my kid. So that's funny. But even when we crossed over to the AAU side, my son still didn't start. My son started some games when I felt like he could start, but for the most part, I knew, okay, I'm going to put my best 5 in there and rotate it in and out. So that's one thing, any player who ever played for me could never say that Coach D daddy ball, because one thing I don't believe is about daddy ball. I believe playing to win and playing the best players on the floor, and my son knew that. I said, until I know that you are capable to start, or I know you can start in the game, I'm not going to start you. And he was fine with that, even though he worked out, he trained with you a few times too. You might not remember. He trained with you, he trained with double trained with everybody. So when his skills, when he started getting better and things, then it times he still started, but I still had players that I recruited, I had on team that were probably on a higher level than him, and they started over him, and he was fine with that. So I felt like every coach who coached their son don't have to be the best player on the team, and they don't have to be the worst player on the team. I just feel like you need to coach them in the right situation, and not just because I'm the coach, my son going to start, he going to play all this. No, that's not how I look at it. But I run into a lot of coaches. They focus on their child, and then when I hear other players leave the team, they come and say, "No, I can't play with that team." All they do is play their son. Their son turn the ball over and can't do this and can't do that. And I heard about a couple top ranked teams recently this past year. I don't coach them up. I heard they play their son 24/7. Their son not even the best one on the team, but they keep him on the court because they the head coach, and I think that's the wrong thing to do.
It is. I mean, if I can't tell the truth to my child, what I'm going to let the world tell them the truth? Because when these kids get older, when they get to like 8th grade, middle, 9th grade, they start talking more, 4th, 5th, 6th. They don't step on each other toes as much. But once they hit that 8th grade level, they're like, man, the only reason you playing because your dad the coach. They start saying that. Now the reality started to set in. Now it's sort of like you putting back what you put out there is coming back on your child in a way, and what you have created, which is like a falsehood. Like it's just false. Like when you one thing about the basketball guys, I say the basketball guys, they don't lie. Like they're going to catch up with you. It's going to circle back around. And so That's why I stand on what I stand on, and I try to be as honest, as transparent as possible with parents. And that's the hardest thing to do because you're dealing with their kids, and don't no one. I think sometimes people got to separate the basketball player from the child, like the person. And I think when you go to certain parents, you're not talking about their child, you're just talking about them as a basketball player. That's just like so and so could be a great human, but he can be horrible at basketball. That's okay. And I'm not saying you're a horrible person. I'm just saying you not like that in basketball. And I think parents don't know how to separate the two sometimes. And it's their own insecurities.
Right, right. And I definitely agree on that. How do you feel that coaches impact a player like? Because a lot of people don't realize it. Well, I ain't gonna say a lot. Quite a few people don't realize that a coach has a huge influence on a player life on the court and off the court. How do you feel that coaches impact the life?
Um, the way you carry yourself on and off the court, what you post on Instagram. I be seeing coaches, and I'm like, man, how you gonna be a coach and you posting you at the club or doing all this, you on live doing this, you cussing or what. And I'm not saying you can't, you have your moments. I'm not trying to take that away from you, but you want your kids to play at a professional level. You want them to be coached by a professional coach. And so I think it's very important for us to lead by example in a professional way. And when you got kids in your life, I think people need to pay attention to that. Like, because if your kid look up to that coach and they see this coach on his Instagram popping bottles or doing negative things, smoking, they gonna be like, coach doing it, it's all right. I can excuse that, but that I can excuse that behavior. But I'm mindful of what I post. I'm mindful of how I carry myself, and I try to be the best example I can be. Not only when I'm there in front of them, but also when I'm off the court. And that can be the smallest, simple things. And I try to be as vulnerable with them as possible for us healing. Like I show them I'm in nature. I show them I'm riding bikes, whatever the case may be, because there's going to come a time when you got to put the ball down and you got to deal with yourself. And mental health is very important to me. It's a very big part of my life. And just having a therapist and someone I can talk to and let loose on, So I try to make sure I got the proper tools. So if a time does come, I know what it takes so I can give back to them.
And just to piggyback off something you said about coaches get on Instagram and doing Instagram live, and I just had a conversation with one of my mentors. It was actually like a couple weeks ago. I called him because I seen a kind of popular coach I know on Instagram live. I jumped on to watch it, and he done dropped from the F-bomb to the end, everything with the conversation, and he was on the live with other players. And I sat back, I'm like, I called him, I said, this is not what this, no, I can't with this. I said, how you will be a coach on an Instagram live and you dropping the F-bomb, the N, saying the B word, and you don't know with players on your live. It's high school players. You're on that live with them. And that just didn't sit right with me.
And that's those honestly, I think those type of coaches are the big problem to the game too, because they become their friends, right? They meet them at their level. And what they do is they know how to infiltrate and get those type of kids because they meet them where they are. They become their friend. We're approaching them from a coach's perspective, a father figure perspective. We're holding you accountable. So that's uncomfortable for them. But that's what brings greatness out of you. Like I want you to reach your fullest potential, But in order to do that, I must hold you accountable. I must hold myself accountable. But then you got these coaches that want to be friends with them, smoke with them, drink with them. These coaches cross all of those lines with them, listen to the same music with them, or whatever the case may be, whatever it is. But I think it's important to get the best out of someone. And for me, I try to show up and put my best foot forward. I don't portray to be perfect or anything like that, But at the end of the day, I do understand what failure look like. And I also know how to just, put myself in position and put myself around positive people. So I just try to put myself around people just like me. We can have a transparent conversation face to face.
Right. And I agree with you on that. I have a core of players that I've coached since ninth grade, and they all in college now. I have a good relationship with them. We talk, we joke around, we kid around. We have that type of like a coach, but friendship. But they never disrespect me. They respect me to this day. They never disrespect me in front of people. They never talk disrespectful to me. And their parents have praised me multiple times because they say, Coach D, they look at you like a father figure and stuff like that. And I still talk to those players to this day. Two of them playing college basketball right now. And we're just like this. We talk at least once or twice a week on the phone. They hit me up. They'll tell me about the game, how they did and everything like that. But we have a good relationship. It's not like they disrespect me. But I never got on Instagram. We would never do nothing like that. It's certain things I'm not going to do. I'm not going to carry myself in a situation to make them look bad.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's jump on to parenting in the youth sports. And this is a big concern for me because we run into a lot of parents in this, especially in AAU, we do it all the time, that have the different expectation than what their kids are capable of doing. Everybody think their kids are Steph Curry. Everybody think their kids LeBron James. They think their kid is Giannis. They think their kid is Kevin Durant. But most of their kids are nowhere near that level. What impact do you think the parents' role they play in the youth athlete on the youth journey in basketball?
I mean, sort of like life, you're not in control. You got to surrender and enjoy the journey. Enjoy your child process. Get to know your child better. Don't make it about you, and learn to get out the way. I think it starts at home. The worst kids I have trained, I can tell based off how they show up is based off how they operate at home. If you don't listen at home, you're not about to listen to my training. If you don't pay attention at home, you're not going to pay attention in my training. I don't care what anyone say. It starts at home. If you don't listen to your mom, I know I'm not going to be able to get you to buy into me. A lot of my parents do say they use me as leverage with their kids. Like, all right, let me tell Coach Tion you ain't cleaning your room or something. And they start cleaning the room, or but that's a respect thing, and that's a love thing, because a lot of us, we care about what our coach think of us. And, I think the reason that we do care about what our coach think of us is because kids know when you care and kids know when you're lying and stuff. So I feel like it's sad that the truth should have to come from a coach rather than from a parent. That's what I see. I feel like, why put a coach in position to tell your child the truth rather than you saying you're not there yet, or, like my conversations is like, if you can't get 2 to 4 points, son, I see why you're not, or you can't do this, or you're not fast enough to guard no one in man to man. Have those honest conversations, because all it's going to do is bring the best out of them. Like, all right, this is what I got to do when I show up to my workouts, or when my parents invest into me. In order for me to get there, I must get faster. But I think they put a Band-Aid on it and be like, it's okay. Where I come from, nah, you're enough, you're good enough wasn't good enough. Like, nah, it could be better, and they kept me on my toes. And that's what I loved about the game, is that there was always room for improvement. And I was real with myself as well. I knew when someone was better than me, and that drove me. And I sort of resented that. But I think I'm honestly happy that my mom wasn't there at the practices or not there at all of the games, because it made me play from a different place. Uh, like not having a mom and dad there, it made me play from a place of jealousy. Like, I want to be acknowledged. I want someone to see me. So when I go out there, I will put it all on the line based off just seeing kids that their mom and dad is at the game, or seeing kids that got the support system. Like, I envy that. And that made me play with an edge towards those type of kids. And so that's the tough part about now, because I'm coaching kids that have parents there supporting them all the way through. And I'm like, it didn't take all this for me.
Right.
You know.
And talking about parents' expectation, because as we said, a lot of these parents live through their child. They wanted to be the star basketball player, or she wanted to be the star basketball player, and now they want to force their kid. Because I run into a lot of kids that don't want to play basketball, but they're forced to play basketball. Dealt with it before, and I told my son many times, whenever you're ready to stop playing, just tell me. I'm not gonna stop coaching, but you could stop playing. And the funny thing is, it came up to his, and he never told me this. His sophomore year and his junior, well, his sophomore year, he wanted to stop playing, but he never told me. And I'm like, why you didn't tell me? He said, because I thought you'd be mad. I said, but then we had this conversation that I don't care. He said it was that. Also, everybody on the team, I had a conversation. He said, no, they told me we family. So they said, man, you gotta continue to play with us. You don't have to play, but we just want you to ride. When it was like they were like this. So they were like real, no, we want you to stay as a part of the family. We like brothers and stuff like that. So he stuck around. His junior year, he didn't want to play at all, but he came back because it was the boys' final year together. And it was times he like, Dad, I don't even have to play. He said, I'm just here because Nick want me to play. Nick, they want me on the team, so I'm just here to support my brothers and stuff. That's all I am. And it was like, I said, he wasn't upset. He wasn't mad. It was games I didn't put him in. I'm good. I'm here just to support my guys. That's all I'm here for, to support them and here and hang out with them. And I love traveling with them. So that's what he did. So I knew that I wasn't living through my son, because I never said I wanted to make it to the NBA when I grew up and stuff like that. But I run into a lot of parents, you could tell they living through their kid because they want their kid to do this and the kid would do that. And the kids come to you, and you probably got this for complaining to you about their parents. I get that all the time. I know you probably got a story you probably could draw. You don't have to mention no name of a kid that complained to you about a parent.
Are you saying kid complain about what, playing time, or
about the parent pushing them to do this and they really don't want to do this?
Oh yeah, I see it. Yeah, I see that a lot. I mean, when you can look at a kid and tell if he don't want to run, he don't want to buy into it. I pay attention to how kids walk in the gym. It take you all day to get your shoes on. You don't got your basketball. Like, well, you ain't got your basketball. You ain't got your jump rope. You still got your Crocs on. Everyone's already in a sweat. You moving slow. So I mean, I think as a coach, we just got to set a standard. My standard is, as time goes on, it's like, what does it look like? How do you want your program to look? When you go to Duke, Coach K has his rules. When you go to, certain colleges, everyone has standards. And I just feel like there's not enough standards. So right now I'm looking at what standards and things that I'm going to stand on even going in this year. Because a lot of times we think we done scratched everything off and then something else comes up. So I really want parents to understand their kids' role, where we don't have to, because parents try to manipulate and change the conversation. And so you could tell them at the beginning before they play their money, your kid might not play that much. You don't got to stay here. You can go somewhere else. That's an option. No, I'm fine with that, coach. I understand. I know it's more work to be done. Soon as them games start hopping up, hey, coach, why ain't, I was just asking, why ain't he get in?
Man.
I told you. I told you from the beginning where we stood,
Right.
And so those are the worst conversations to have because it's like you knew I told you what it was, and you think you can change my style of coaching, or I'm going to compromise what I said for you. If that's the case, I could have took another kid who parents definitely said, I know they're not ready yet, but I want them around you to learn the game and grow. I had a parent like, I don't care if they play. I just want them to have good practices and learn the game.
Right.
Bingo. Those are the best parents to come across, and know that makes you want to coach their child up because
Right.
they're holding, by them being honest with me, holds me to a standard to give their child the most knowledge and coach them up the best way rather
Right.
than you. Because it's two type of parents. You got parents that want their kid to play the game, and you got parents that want their kid to learn the game.
Right.
The one that want their child to play the game, those are the biggest headaches. The one who want their child to learn the game, they don't even really come in the gym. They can care less. It's just a different approach.
One thing I tell a lot of parents, and I tell players this when they always tell me, "Yeah, my son want to make it to the NBA." Okay, how often do your son train? When I be talking about what they do daily, I rarely see them in the gym. I say, okay, and I always tell people this one person I always said as an example. I said, look at what Brandon Boston did when he was here. That boy practiced and trained 7 days a week, in the morning, in the evening. He worked out. He was studying film. Look where he at. I said, look at his regimen. Look how he did every single day. I said, if you're not doing no work, you're not even doing 50% of what he's doing. Don't come talking about, hey, I want to make it to the NBA if you're not in the gym every single day. That dude was going to the gym at night, get up early in the morning, working out in the morning, working out during break time at school, looking at film constantly, back to back. Same thing with Colin Saxon. Had a great work ethic. Scoot Henderson, same thing. Look at them. Look where they were. I said, you got it. If you're trying to get to that level, these are some good examples to pay attention to. They work their butt off. They stay in the gym. They not out in the streets. They not at parties. They not up playing Fortnite. They're not playing 2K. They're not at the mall chasing girls. They in the gym working out. Now, all these guys right now are in the NBA because they sacrifice. Y'all don't want to sacrifice. That's the main thing. People don't want to sacrifice.
Nah, they don't want to sacrifice. You gotta have a session to be really great to get to that next level. A lot of them not obsessed with the game. Like you gotta be obsessed with getting better. You gotta be obsessed with being great. It's gonna keep you up at night. And it's not for everyone, It's like I always tell my guys, some of y'all like the game, you don't love it.
Right.
You like it. You like it, you can tolerate it. You like being around, you like meeting up with your friends, you like the uniforms, you like the sneakers, you like the lifestyle. But when you love it, you can care less about all of that. You just want to compete. You want to get out there and prove your point, and you want to show people, you want to make your mark in the game. Like I felt like a lot of times I look at it like, I know they're kids, so you got to be mindful or careful what you say. But sometimes I'll be like, do you even want to make an impact in the game? If you don't even want to make an impact, why are you here?
Right.
Because coaches want to coach players that want to make an impact. If I put you on that floor, I'm expecting you to impact the game. I don't expect you to run up and down and participate. I'm watching a lot of kids, they are participating. And I know what that looks like. You're trying not to make a mistake. You pass the ball, you run around, you get back on D, you're playing 4 feet back from the guy. The press break, they throw a press break on us, you run the other way, you stand, you're not trying to impact the game. You're just out here participating. And so I think that's the problem right there. I think a lot of programs got a bunch of kids playing that are participating,
Right.
you know.
And this crossover to our next topic, which was realistic expectations. And a lot of these players, and it's not, I don't look at it like people say, oh, you're hating, you're saying this kid can't do this or can't make it to the NBA. You'll never hear me tell a child they can't make it to the NBA, but I tell them they're realistic. If you're not going to do this, do that, do this, don't expect to make it there. Don't expect to make, because it's less than a percent, probably less than 0.5% of the basketball population that makes it to that level.
You don't even got to go NBA. You can go college.
College, yeah.
A lot of them are the transfer portal. There's not that many scholarships out there right now. Like it's bad. It's not that many college scholarships. I think I was watching something and they were talking about the portal. And I talked to my coach that coached me in junior college that recruited me. He's at LSU. And he just said, we don't even look at high school first. We look in the portal. These guys have more experience. They're stronger. It's not their first time away from home. They understand what it takes, so they don't got to do too much having to build up or break any habits. These guys are coming in already ready. Not only that, we're so focused on American kids playing the game of basketball. We're not just competing with ourselves. We're still up against these foreigners, and these foreigners are running the NBA. So our chances are getting slimmer and slimmer. Like the past 3 MVPs have went to foreign players.
Right.
From Djokovic to Embiid. Luka has made a big impact. Who else was the other?
Giannis got an MVP.
Giannis got an MVP. So think about it. All 3 of them are not American players. Right. So what are they doing differently than what we're doing? When I look at them, when I look at FIBA basketball, like their overseas basketball, they have real academies and they doing this stuff day in and day out. Structure. I think in America basketball, we don't have enough structure. We throw a corporation on something and everybody shift. Each year I watch AAU. Somebody can throw a damn Puma sign or a Nike sign on something. And everybody shift like, oh, they got an EYBL deal. Or someone throw a Puma circuit or something or a New Balance circuit. Everybody shift like, I'm going to go over there. It doesn't change anything.
Right.
So it's like, I don't even feel like a lot of times it's about basketball. I feel like a lot of times it's about what looks good. Atlanta is like, when you think about Atlanta basketball, a lot of times when youth sports, it's what looks the best. Who sells the most bullshit? Like, who sells the best bullshit? Who lies the most? And it's like the people that are able to manipulate and get through, those are the ones winning. And guys like us is just wanting to have these realistic topics. How can we clean it up? How can we make things better? How can we hold one another accountable to put a better service out there or help kids get better? When you look back, it's parents right now that have wasted a lot of time and money, and their kid is not going to develop or grow at all in programs that they're at right now. And it's based off, just trusting the wrong person. And a lot of parents don't want to be told the truth, though, to be honest.
They don't. You can say that again. It's a lot of parents don't want to hear the truth. They want to hear lies. They want to hear you lie. And I'll be honest. That's one thing, I can't lie. And I tell you the truth. But some parents don't want to hear it. They think their child better than what they are. They take them from our team, go to another team. Oh, boom. The grass is not greener. Guess what? They try to come back. Oh, sorry, that spot gone.
Yeah. They don't watch the game. Basketball is a fast sport. Like, it's quick, up and down. Kid run down the court twice and he's tired. And you're telling me I should play him. He's not even in shape. Your kid comes back, he's overweight. You don't see overweight basketball players playing in the NBA. Like, we got to be honest about this, Like, You don't see nobody coordination or feet ain't right. Like with my, like, for example, I use my sons as an example. I don't want them playing no sport until they understand how to run properly. I see kids that don't even know how to run good. So you got them in a sport and they don't know how to run. They don't know what a lunge is. Like, soon as I teach a kid, once I get a kid at a beginner level, I teach them what's what on the basketball court. Where's the free throw line? I ask them questions. What are the 5 positions on the court? You know, point guard, shooting guard. I want them to have that type of knowledge. People throw their kids in the sport, and a lot of these kids are 12 and 11 years old. They don't even know all of the 5 positions on the floor.
Right.
If you say, hey, you at the 2, they're like, huh? If I say you the shooting guard, they don't even know all of the lingo that comes with basketball. You know, hey, you get on the block, you know, or you box. They don't be knowing half of them. They throw them out there and they don't know what you're talking about.
What are your feelings on reclassification when players reclass?
I mean, I guess in my era, you reclass because you had a shot. Like, you were good. You were very good, right? Either there was an opportunity that would come in your way, you reclass because either you were trying to get your grades together or you just, you know, something like that. But we didn't reclass. Like, we weren't failing in my era. You could consider dumb or stupid. You didn't want to go through that embarrassment. Like, we
Right.
weren't even having those conversations.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
would not graduate and go to a prep school, you know. So I had a choice to either graduate. I could have went to prep school, but I wanted to walk across the stage. I didn't want nobody to say, "Oh, he couldn't even graduate." But that's what we did in our era. We went to prep school after high school. Well, this era, they just flunking. You know, they stand back. But my
Or they
thing is,
reclass for fun. It's like a common thing. It's like everybody just reclass. He reclass, you reclass. Everybody cool. They cool with it. I never
yeah,
understand when to do a
normal.
grade.
It's normal. You know what I don't understand about reclassing?
What?
You reclass and you still score the same amount of points. You don't impact the game. You don't dominate the game. So what do you reclass for?
Because some coach told your parents, "Hey, you need to reclass," and they say, "Okay,
Man,
cool."
ain't
Man,
shit.
man, you know, back in that day, we were ready to get out of school. We didn't want to stay in school longer. These kids, I'm gonna say in school. I know it's some kids, and this one kid I know, he reclassed on twice. He reclassed here in Georgia, then he reclassed another time when he went to another state. He was 19 years old when he graduated. They boost him up on social media. Not going to say I don't want to mention, but I tell you, when we off the air who it is. But they praised him, and then when he reclassed up to graduate, they made an article about like, yeah, he reclassed. Like, dude, he reclassed twice. What are y'all bragging about? Social media be all the media outlets kill me with that, man.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I mean, you got so many different outlets and things like that. It's more outlets out there where they're not really having these honest, transparent conversations. You got outlets out there that's just some money. It's about a money grab, you know. It's about, you know, how can we capitalize off this, you know? For me, I just try to stay in that arena where it's just a straight path, teaching the game. I ain't telling no one to reclass their child. That's a conversation I'll have. Unless like, say for instance, your child real young and started school early. I'm like, hey, reclass him. Maturity reasons, you know, like you don't want him graduating early. You know, he's not that mature yet. Keep him
Right.
back another year. Stuff like that. We have those conversations, but reclassing them for the game of basketball, I don't really have too many conversations like that because I don't want nobody putting their child destiny in my hands and things like that. So I sort of stay away from that. But it is normal now. But I just be like, why you reclassing and you ain't dominating? If I'm gonna stay back, my ass going for 30 or 40 a game. Like,
Right.
staying back and scoring 2 and 4 points or splitting minutes, that don't make sense for me. Like just move on ahead, But I've seen teams that put one thing I hate seeing coaches put old kids on teams and they be playing against younger players. And I mean, it's like your goal is to teach kids accountability. And I think that's the worst thing you can teach a kid is how to cheat. You
Right.
know, like don't teach a kid how to cheat. Don't make cheating normal. And I see a lot of grown men that will compromise their morals and their integrity to win a damn game. And for me, that makes me question like, do you really value and love the game? Because when you value and love the game, you just say, you know what, I take my L's, like I trained a lot of kids. I could literally go around and train a lot of kids for free right now and probably have some stacked teams just based off using my training to uh to seduce them in. Like, because parents be like, well, shoot, if you're gonna train them, we'll come over there and play. You people take what it's leverage there, but I stick to it. No, this is what we're gonna do. Pay for this, pay for that. Let's just keep it. Basketball is a business, and we're gonna treat it like a business. But also, too, we're a human. So when I believe in giving back, and I also believe in my time, my knowledge, I should be paid for that. Anyone should be paid for that. But it's sort of trainers are scared to speak on that though. Trainers are scared to speak on money, the money part. Or a lot of trainers are afraid to have these raw and transparent conversations because they feel like they're gonna lose clients. And it's
Right.
like, nah, I don't want them type of clients anyway. I know what type of clientels I want around me. And I've been able to attract those type of clients. Like, don't lie to me. Don't lie to my kid. Like, get the best out of them.
What are your thoughts on kids that you see that jump from school to school to school to school to AAU team to AAU team? Every year they're on a different team, a different high school team, a different AAU team. What's your thoughts on that?
Um, I
I'm gonna
don't
be
blame.
on why you think on that. That's one reason why I stopped coaching, just to let everybody know. I stopped coaching because when it comes to AAU, it's no more loyalty when it comes to players. You try to build chemistry, and that kid go lead this team and go this team. Is like you can't keep the same team together. You could still be winning. You can have a successful team, and they will still another coach would tell their parent one thing: "I'm gonna get your child a scholarship," and boom, they run out to that team, and it got to the point the loyalty has really declined, and people don't respect or believe in loyalty no more. They believe in just going where the wind blows, and that's one reason why I stopped coaching. But
You got so many options.
yes,
So
too.
many options. So when you got so many options, you got you got bullshit basketball, you got good basketball, you got great basketball. So you got every pillar of options. So if this don't work, let me go over into some bullshit. I can get this over here. If this don't work, let me try the good route. The good route don't work, let me try this route. So they got so many options of what they want to do. Like what amazes me how I felt like when like EYBL and these circuits, like these, Adidas and things like that got involved. And, when they threw the logo on there and the younger kid, we're sponsored by them. Man, this city flipped upside down when teams started going up under certain shoe deal teams and stuff like that. Each year before AAU season, someone always got to make a damn announcement. Like, oh, we gonna do our big announcement, and it ruffles people, and people start calling like, "Hey, man, what you think about this? Don't we need to do that?" I'm like, let them do what they do. I
Right.
don't got to make an announcement or portray to be something that I'm not or I have not earned. And I think that's the thing. Like you can't be where your feet are. That's what I do. I be where my feet are. I can't worry about what the next person doing. I'm too busy doing what I'm supposed to do right here. And I think a lot of them get distracted, jumping around, thinking the grass is greener. Just continue to just develop, continue to grow, have your kid around the right people, the right trainers, the right speed and agility coaches. Once you put everything in place, for your child, everything gonna fall in line the way it's supposed to. But bouncing around team to team ain't definitely not gonna help it.
Right.
You
And
know,
it's a common thing, especially like it's kids I know right now. I don't think they was on ninth grade, they was at one school, 10th grade, they was at another school, junior year, they're at another school. Now they senior year, they're at a whole different school. I'm like, why? And then I had a conversation with a parent, and they didn't know my feelings on it, but they explained to me why they at this school now, and like it was the same reason for each departure. Like same thing as I call it the James Harden move, because you go from team to team to team when things not going your way and stuff like that. And it just me feel like you're not teaching your kids the right way because things not going right there. You can go to this school. Then if it's 4 different schools in 4 different years, I don't think the problem the coach. I think the problem the player.
well, if I'm a college coach and I come recruit you, it's hard to find a kid that done went to 3 different schools. I'm like, dang, you was here. So now I'm doing research. Why did you leave? Why? And I don't expect, if I'm a college coach and your child done went to 3 to 4 schools, I don't even expect him to stay committed to my program when he get to college. I know he's gonna go in the portal because he don't know what it's like to go through adversity. When you have been to 3 to 4 different schools, and I'm not saying it's always, because I know guys were better than guys, just didn't get a shot due to politics. It is a such thing as politics out there. So that's what forced a lot of kids to move around to different schools. Then there's some kids that just the game done passed them by. Ain't no point in moving to all these schools. They're not ready yet. They're not ready. The game just done passed them by. They didn't put the work in. But then you got some, it's a lot of them transfer because it's political. Because now you got AAU coaches or people that support AAU programs, they build relationships with high school coaches. And so once they build those relationships, they take certain AAU guys into their high school because of the relationship they have established with coaches. So it's a political game. But I think it's just at the end of the day, you're gonna get what you put in is what you're gonna get back. You can't cheat the game at all. The embarrassing part is, for me, I think it's very embarrassing, is your child not being prepared and you put him in a situation that he's not prepared for.
Right.
That's the worst thing. And I feel bad for kids like that. I feel bad for people that stroke their kid ego and tell them how good they are, and they get to high school and they realize, like, I'm not even good enough to make a team. Now, how do you explain that? Because you have sitting here and, dressed everything up so nicely. But hey,
And it's funny saying that about kids jump from school to school. Back, I'm gonna say I had a kid on my team, and I have a couple connections with high school coaches. So I was trying to help her son find a good school. So I got her on the phone, the parent on the phone with one of the coaches I know. So she had a conversation with the coach, and they talked for like a good 20 minutes. So then the coach called me afterwards as how the conversation go. He said it didn't go the way I wanted to go. He said I got on the phone with her. The way she was talking, like her son was like one of the top players in the state. He was a rising freshman, top player in the state. He's highly recruited. This how he liked to play. Blah blah blah. She went down like she was trying to. She was like trying to tell him this what he gonna do. This what he gonna do. He told her at the end of the conversation, well, I don't think your son be a good fit for my program. I just want to let you know that. So y'all may want to continue to look elsewhere. And I respect that. And this is one of the coaches I really respect. He's still coaching Georgia. He one of the top coaches in Georgia. But he said she came to him like her son was like the next coming of Michael Jordan, where she talked on the phone with him and told him how he liked to play and who's recruiting him, who's trying to get him and stuff like that. He said, I told her in the comes, well, I don't think your son be a good fit for my program. So you may want to go to some of those other options that won't.
I think this kid I think he signed with Auburn. His name Tahaj Pitterford. He's from up north, like New Jersey, I think. I did a Beyond All-American camp. Kid was in the 7th grade. Now think about it. You just flew in, never been in this gym, this atmosphere before. You in the 6th grade. Now this kid is an ESPN most sought out guard in the country, like up there. One of the best guards in his class, like McDonough All-American, all of that. But the reason I'm saying that this kid came here from New Jersey. His dad dropped him off the camp. I didn't know who his dad was. I didn't meet his dad to the end of the camp on a Sunday when it was over. His dad never stayed in the gym, watched him or nothing. His dad went to Papa Do's, went to eat, whatever. And that kid was in there tearing the gym alive. And sometimes it's just like, it's not that those type of parents, they understand, like, I ain't about to sit here and stress and work my nerve. Like, I'm gonna put you in this situation, go to work. And it was like when I went up and talked to him and telling him how good his son did, he was like, he still got work to be done. It was sort of still a humility about it, but it just goes to show you those type of kids, parents are not stressing it. Like they done their part, they move out the way. And it's like his dad basically, at that moment, I realized like he knows what his son is capable of and he has done his part. So why am I going to sit here in the gym? Like I know what my son do. And I thought it showed the confidence his son had, showed the confidence he had as a father. And I think that's the big thing. Like the confidence he had as a father, like I trust my son to do what he do. And I can go on about my day because I know what I got. When you
Right.
know your child like that, you don't got nothing to stress about.
Let me ask you a question. How do you feel like NBA players of today have had a positive or negative, or do you think it's a balance of two on players of today in the youth community?
Yes, it depends on what it is.
Okay.
I ain't even gonna blame NBA players. I'm not gonna blame I think social media messed up a lot of things. You know, we didn't have Instagram, we didn't have all of these things. So I feel like kids, rather than putting the work in, you can create, you can be something you're not on there. You know, you can post highlights and you can create this thing like you're doing something based off views and like. And it changed. I think it just changed the reality of the game. If we look back, Instagram only had but a few little kids on there. You remember like when Instagram first started, it was probably 4 or 5 kid phenoms on there that was doing pages.
Right.
Now you got class of so-and-so. That probably happened, what, about 5 years ago? All these kids just start, Instagram became like a basketball marketing spot, you know, like, and you got class of 2029, class of 2028. It wasn't like that before. People weren't letting their kids get social media. Now these jokers have social media with basketballs in their hand at 2, you know, and you know, babies that can't even walk yet already got social media. So I can't blame the, you know, NBA players. I sort of blame, you know, the social media and stuff. You know, when it comes to NBA players, I think that it's not as competitive as it used to be for sure. You know, it was
And
different.
yeah, and definitely like Instagram has really, to me, it has ruined it because a lot of people see these highlights and the clips and all they want to try, or they want you, or sometimes you get bamboozled. You think, oh, look at the kid highlight, you know, shoot, man, dang. Then when you be like trying to recruit them, then when you get them in the gym, you like, hold on, she's not, hold on. Well, then you
Yeah.
realize that the clip was from the whole weekend, and it's like 45 seconds long. It was like 6 games. It's not one game; it's 6 games, and you see clip like, oh shoot, this is not. No, man, you're not what you see on here. And I have been bamboozled quite a few times when I thought these clips of this player were like really good, and when I see them in person, I'm like, I don't see none of that. Cause you getting destroyed by my third best player on the team on your clip. You like you should be the best player on my team right now. So
and see, that's the thing right there. I probably owe a lot of coaches apologies. I used to train kids, and I'm the kids good, training. I watched them in the gym. I'm like, damn, why the coach ain't playing them? He don't know how to coach. So that's how I used to take it personal. When I train certain kids, I'm like, he better than that kid, that kid. Why the hell he ain't playing? He don't know what he doing. He don't know how to coach. When I started coaching, I started realizing, damn, this is why they not playing them. You don't play defense. You don't hustle. You throwing turnovers. You're lazy. You out here emotional on the court. So when I started coaching, I realized that some of these kids are just good at training. They're not game players. They can't play with other players. They're good as hell between cones and, doing those things. But when they get out here with 4 other players and it's time to think, they can't think the game. So I had to, I have to apologize to coaches out there because I felt like they couldn't coach based off, this kid got a high skill set. You got to set them up for success. A lot of these kids don't even listen, so they just run up and down the court jacking up shots.
I see that every day on him, man. Yeah, it has become stressful coaching and just like defense. That's my biggest key. I love defense. I mean, you don't have to play the best defense. You got to play some. And you got a lot of kids only want to run for the outlook pass so they get an easy layup or pull a shot. And my biggest pet peeve is now I see a lot of kids, they'll dribble, they'll come all the way down the court, fast break. They're ahead of everybody, stop and pull a 3 and miss it. I sub you right out the game. Then I hate that. I see that all the time. Like even I have seen times, and I respect it. I've seen kids do that, come down fast break ahead, stop, pull a 3, make it. The coach still pull them out the game because they said that's not the right move. You made the wrong move, and so like that's not basketball. You don't come down on first thing you pull a 3, and I say, well, Steph Curry did. Oh, here we go. Steph, you're not Steph Curry. You're not.
Yeah,
You're not. They see Steph Curry do it, and you and Steph Curry are two there. Steph Curry is a professional. He making millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. You're here trying to get to that level.
Exactly. And that's what I just told I told a lot of my guys last week. I said, stop taking shots you don't work on. Stop putting up shots. You ain't putting up that 3. You ain't putting up a lot of 3-point shots. So stop shooting those long 3-pointers. Stop. If you ain't working on pull-ups from the elbow, bank shots, shooting off the glass, the consistency. So I just told him, if you're not working on that shot, how you know that's your shot? I said, Kobe got to his spots. Good basketball players know where their spots at. And they know my percentage is high here. That is my spot. My goal is get to my spot on the floor, and I have a successful night. But I think a lot of them, they think basketball is just throwing it up, hoping it go, praying that it goes in. But I'm like, stop shooting shots you don't work on.
Exactly. And I have a kid, somewhat player, kind of mentor. He hit me up. He said, can I call you? I'm going to a trial for a big team. And he lives in Tennessee, but he was going to Ohio for this trial. And he called me and said, I want to talk to you. And I was like, okay, cool. He called, we got on the phone. He like, hey, coach, he said, I got a question. He said, I'm going to Ohio for a trial. I said, first of all, I said, you traveling all the way to Ohio from Tennessee for a team? Good God Almighty. He like, yeah. I said, how long was the drive? He said, it was 10 hours. I said, your mom driving 10 hours for the trial? But they did it anyway. He said, can you give me some tips on what I should do at the trial? I said, okay, number one thing is, if you're at the trial, don't get fancy with it. Don't do old fancy stuff. Because a lot of people go into trial, they try to do stuff they don't work on. They not good at it because they trying to look good. And then guess what happens? You look bad, and it makes you look bad in front of the coach. So that's the number one thing. Always work on always do what you strong at. One of your strongest suits, definitely work on do that. That lets the coach know that, okay, this is something he's good at. Don't work on nothing that you know that you're not good at, because you may, after the fact, you say, okay, coach, I need this. This is something I want to get better at. I'm not strong at, but I want to get better at. But you see what I'm good at. Do that. And then also I said, don't come down there and do all that fancy dribbling between your leg, behind your back, just in the hold the ball. Because first of all, a lot of coaches, good coaches, don't like that. They don't think that shit funny. They don't find it as a oh wow, oh he can handle the ball, because if you do all that and you turn the ball over, you take a bad shot. Then what you do with the ball and stuff like that. I said, make sure you play defense and communicate. I said, that's what you do. He went to the trial. When he got back, he called me. He said it was a good trial. He said, but when we looked at the team, my mom didn't really think it was a good fit because she seen how the coaches already had people he knew there. So it was already, he said she felt like she wanted to travel that far and felt like I wasn't going to get as much playing time. Not saying that I should, but she could just already see, we could already see that he had a good handful of players that he known for years. So it was a possibility I could be traveling that far and may not be playing that much. I said, yeah. And I said, plus 10 hours. I said, that's kind of crazy unless they flying you in or something like that. That's a difference. So I just think a lot of kids, when they do these trials or go to these camps or something like that, they try to do things that they think the coach is going to like instead of what they're good at.
I agree. I remember the same exact thing you were talking about. I asked the kid when he told me he got cut, I said, did you go in there shooting threes? Did you go in there doing that? And they told me, I'm like, that's not what you good at. So why didn't you just go in there and play defense and hustle and just play a role? You know, coaches are looking for guys that will play a role, that will buy into their role. And I think the problem is kids, we don't know any better. You know, when we come into the game of basketball, all we know, we want to play the game. We don't know any better. Like if I say, hey, I need you to do this your role, you know who messes us up when we trying to get that kid to buy a role? The parent in the car saying, you ain't no damn so-and-so. You better than that. You a guard. And it's like, bro, like, allow me to coach him to his strength right now until we get him to where he needs to be. But when you start going up against that type of parent, it takes away from the kid growth and it takes away from you, what you're pouring into the kid. So you can't win. It's a tough one to win.
Well, man, it's been a great show. I appreciate you coming out. We talked about a lot. It's a lot more we could definitely dive into because talking about this, it's so much you could touch on.
It is. It really is. But I think it's not about the kids. We got to stop blaming the kids. I think we got to take the kids out the equation and we got to look at the adults. I think we just got a lot of messed up adults in the game of basketball. A lot of messed up adults that are the leaders. You know, the leaders. It starts at the top. So if you got bad leaders at the top, it's going to trickle down because good leaders are not going to allow poor leadership around them.
Right. And my thing is, I think, and as I said it earlier, parents need to start living their dreams through their kids.
Oh, definitely.
Every kid doesn't want to make it to the NBA. Every kid doesn't want to play basketball. Every kid doesn't want to play football. Every kid doesn't want to play baseball. It counts for all sports. You got to let the kid figure out what they want to do. I let my son play every sport. He played soccer. He played baseball. He played football. He did basketball. And I said, what do you like to do? And it was basketball. He did 1 year soccer. He enjoyed it, but he said, nah, not really me. He did football. He played his first year. Wasn't really fun. He played baseball. He wasn't really into that. He played basketball. He enjoyed basketball. He wanted to do basketball more. So we stuck with that. And I think that's what a lot of parents of today needs to start doing. Let their kid figure out what they want to do, not what you want to do. And I think it'd be a better place. And also, you got to do your investigation on these teams. Like you got to really look at these teams and see what's the best fit for your team. Because the issue is too many kids team hopping, too many kids school hopping because they get caught up in adversity and they don't want to fight through it or want to learn. They want the easy way out. And that's what's wrong with the world. Everybody wants the easy way out. They don't want to work for it. They want it to be given to them. And that's the problem. That's the problem with it and stuff like that. So I think that's something kids and parents need to really, and coaches need to be more realistic with these kids and parents, which a lot of them not. They just want like, no, come on, bring your kid over here, and it's $900. And then they paid the $900. Then all of a sudden, these parents upset because their kids not getting the playing time, or their kids not on the court, and their kids not even really good enough to be on that team. They just wanted your kid money, and they paid $50 for the uniform and probably $20 for the backpack, and that's $70 and everything else. So they owed us sitting around the corner, laughing. They get made money off your kid, and your kid might get a lot of playing time at practice, but he ain't getting a lot of playing time when they get in that real game.
That's true. That's a fact.
Well,
now,
man, go ahead.
No, I just want to thank you. Thank you for, I'm glad you created a platform like this. It's very unique, it's very rare, but it's real. And you're allowing the basketball community to have a voice, and you're giving young kids a voice to be able to express themselves. And it actually plays a big part in the basketball community. So I just want to thank you for creating a platform. When you're able to create a platform, give someone a voice to speak the truth, you have something positive that you're giving out. And it's rare that we have that, in the game of basketball. So I just want to thank you.
Well, I do appreciate it, man, because I'm going to be honest with you. It was never I was going to get to this. It really started out when I was my last year coaching. A lot of people don't realize this. I would coach Zaytoven Elite, Zaytoven, a producer. He had his own AAU team. So I met up with him. I started coaching his AAU team, and it was kind of like I wanted to get in the entertainment field. That's what my passion always been. Most people don't know this, but I got a degree in media production. And when I was graduated back in 2008, I had the opportunity to work with Tyler Perry. However, I turned it down because at that time I was going through a divorce, and my son was only 3 years old. And being a black male, I wanted to be in my son's life. And I have a lot of friends that's in the industry. They never got a chance to see their child grow up. They were always on the road. They was always traveling. And I would say, no, that's not going to be me. So I turned down that opportunity because I was going through a divorce. Now, if I wasn't, I probably would have worked for Tyler Perry, but at that time I couldn't. So I said, no, I'm going to be for my son. So I started coaching. And then now he's of age. He graduated already. So my last year coaching with Zaytoven Elite, I was crossed back over trying to do the music thing, and I was producing. I got a mixtape out right now, which is on all platforms. Is Living Legends Volume 1. Go check it out. Then I had managed 2 artists about to end that career. I was working with their career. It wasn't working out as I wanted it to. Tried to help them. They wasn't really doing what they thought they was going to do. And we kind of end tied. So I started doing my own podcast because my artist at that time said, DT, you need to do your own podcast show. I said, really? He said, yeah. He said, you'll be good at it. It's something you get platforms for other artists to come on. So I was like, okay, cool. So I started doing a podcast show. And at that stage, when I stopped doing, I kind of cut my artists loose. I started doing the podcast. And I thought about it. I said, you know what? I coached for many years. I should bring a platform for athletes to come on here and tell their story. And at that stage, when it came over, I started going to little platforms, going out to events, doing it for free to get my name out there, interviewing athletes. Then I ran into that one person that said, hey, you got to stop doing this for free. Bringing all your equipment out here. You're doing this work and you're not getting paid for it. They paid me. And at that stage, it been booming. Like this whole year is just really jumped off. And this upcoming year, I'm working for Team Scoop. Team Scoop is I'm their media person. I got a couple of projects coming up this upcoming year. So it been pretty good. It's been really successful for me. And I'm thankful for everything. And I have interviewed over 1,200 athletes.
That's amazing. It's going to keep growing.
Yeah.
You got something special. I said you got something special and rare. It's going to keep growing. And I see how the kids, when they see you, how they light up and they're ready to get in that seat and talk and things like that. So, amazing.
And man, I run into it all the time. I be in the gym. I be hearing in the background like, oh, there go DT. Oh, I'm gonna get an interview. I be feeling famous sometimes. I be walking in the gym. I'm like, oh, DT right there. What's up, DT? And so like that. And the only thing that really bothers me when players say, you remember you interviewed me? And I be like, I said, man, I done interviewed 1,200 kids right now. I say, what event was it? They'll tell me that. I said, okay, now I remember. But they were like, I understand you got a lot of cats. They look at it, they say, I seen your YouTube account. You got a lot of interviews. I said, yes. So don't take it personal. I said, now, if we have a good relationship, I don't talk to you and we communicate on Instagram, that's a different story. But if I only interviewed you once and haven't really talked to you since, it's not 100% I'm going to remember. So I don't want you taking that personal.
True. Man,
but yeah, man. Go ahead. No.
Thank you for your time. Seriously.
All right. And you want to tell everybody how they can follow you on all social media?
You can follow me at Beyond Basketball Academy. Beyond Basketball Academy on Instagram. You can reach me on my website at www.beyondbasketballacademy.com. But I'm very heavy on Instagram, social media. So Beyond Basketball Academy on Instagram.
All right, and this is your boy DT. You know, you can follow me on all social media. On Instagram, that's DT_unfiltered_uncensored. You can follow my YouTube channel, same as that thing. You could go to my Twitter is on DT_UNCENFIL 24/7. So you can follow me on there. I'm on Twitch, DT Unfiltered Uncensored. You can follow me on all platforms. Definitely, if you're looking for a good training, you're looking for a great program, Beyond Basketball Academy is definitely the right program. I've seen a lot of kids he trained. He does the right thing. He tells them the truth. He builds them up from the ground up. He worked with them. It's kids I've seen you work with. I've seen kids that you work with real young, like Tyler Barnes. You had him when he was real young, and now where Tyler at now. So, yeah, you don't have trained quite a few of these real talented kids, and look where they at now. So, definitely, if anybody here looking for a good trainer, definitely hit him up on Instagram, DM him. Get some sessions in because he gonna get you right.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you, DT.
Thank you. And this is your boy DT, and I'll see you next time.
All right.
It's DT. You have just now listened to the most talked about podcast in the country. DT Unfiltered Uncensored. Thank you for tuning in, and see you next time. Damn. DT.